So today I'm going to talk about how you should actually fill holes or low spots in your lawn. I know it's very hard to see on camera, but there's a low spot right here in the lawn. This is where a tree was removed and dug out a couple years ago. And then there was dirt that was put back in here with some mulch, and then it sunk down even more. I like to inspect and look for these low spots or these holes first thing in the spring when we just come out of spring, because the snow has been sitting on this. It mats down all the grass and you can really see the low spots in your lawn. So this is the area where the hole is, or the indentation in the yard, and we're going to make this level. What I like to use to make it level is topsoil and sand. Now if I'm just filling a small area, maybe an inch or two, I like to use sand. Sand's amazing because it's self-leveling, but I'm gonna fill this hole with a mixture of sand and topsoil. I bought the topsoil that's a little more expensive because the inexpensive topsoil has a lot of wood chips and bark in it, and I really don't care for that, not that it matters that much. I don't necessarily recommend this brand, just something that doesn't have a lot of debris in it. So let's go ahead and get started and put some of this sand and topsoil in our hole. I'm gonna go ahead and rake this up a little bit since the snow's been sitting on here. There's even a little snow mold in the grass, but I'm just gonna rake it up and clean it up just a little bit here. You can see it's a lot harder to see the hole when the grass is fluffed up and thick, but that's why I like to look at it when it's matted down, because you can really see the low spots. So let's go ahead and fill this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bag of sand and grab my bag of topsoil here and rip it open and go ahead and lay it down in this hole here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the topsoil down first. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up this bag of sand. And I like to mix a little sand and dirt together when I'm filling a larger dip in the lawn like this. We're going to talk about this later on, but when I'm filling just a small area or a small area that's kind of low level, I'll just use sand because sand is self-leveling. But here I want to go ahead and mix the sand and the dirt together. It's just a real nice mixture for leveling out the area, and then that topsoil actually helps fertilize and get those seedlings going in the grass there. I go ahead and just kind of mix it all in, mix the sand. There's really no right mixture here, just pretty much a little bit of sand and a little bit of dirt. Now, if you just had dirt in this situation, that would be just fine also. But I would not fill this whole area with sand because there's not enough nutrients in sand to really help the lawn seed prosper like it should. Again, sand's great for small little areas that you need to level. So I'll just mix it together, and then I'm going to go ahead and level it off and just rake it in and try to get it to as level as I can and mix it up. And that's about all you need to do at this stage. So I like it to be just a little higher than level, because we know with this topsoil it's going to compact a bit. So just a little higher than normal, because we know it's going to compact a little bit. If we need to update it again, we can go ahead and put some more down in a couple weeks or so, but this looks like it might be about right. I generally like to use a heavy steel wire rake, but this is what I have handy, so this will do the job also. So there we go. We got some dirt and sand mixed in our hole there. And I'm not going to plant seed yet because the soil temperature right now is still too cold to plant some seed. So I'm going to wait a couple weeks before I put the seed down. But I think it's going to work out great. You can see it's fairly level now. It's going to sink probably just a little bit. I might update it with a little more in a couple weeks after it gets some moisture. And again, if I'm feeling a deeper hole like this, I like to use a mixture of topsoil and sand. If I'm trying to fill some smaller holes, like here's a little divot in the lawn right here. I don't know if you can see it that well, and it's a little lower right here. I'd probably just put some sand in there. What I like about sand is it's self-leveling. Once sand gets in contact with the water, it just levels out, just like at the beach when the sand by the water is all flat and up by the farther from the shore, it's all rough. So that's when I decide whether I'm using topsoil or sand. It looks like I purchased about the right amount for this hole. It was a guesstimate, and we'll wait a couple of weeks, get some seed on this, and see how it comes out. So after you put down your soil and your sand and it's a little above level, I like to just tap it down. I'm just tapping it down with my weight and my feet, just leveling it out. So now I'm going to get it flush and level at this point. You could use a roller, but I don't have one currently at this property. So I'm just using my body and flattening it out and rolling it out with my feet, patting it down so I can get it level so it doesn't sink and I can see where we are exactly with the leveling and how it's compared to the other part of the lawn. All right, now that we got this all leveled out, we stomped on it and really packed it in, it's time for some seed. It's about getting close to mid-April now, and the soil temperatures are warm enough that seed will start to germinate. So I have some Barenberg seed right here. I really like this seed. I'll go ahead and I'll put the link below. I'll put the link down below for the seed, but what I like about this Barenberg seed is it actually has a little yellow coat on it. They call it a yellow jacket coat, you can see with this seed. And it holds something like, don't quote me on this, but it holds something like 100 times its weight in water. So it really helps that seed germinate a little easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of use like chicken feed. And I'm gonna go ahead and spread the seed on the turf here. Sorry, not on the turf, but on this area. This is the Barenberg seed. This particular mixture is, let's see here. Mostly, this is mostly all bluegrass. This has the yellow jacket coating I was talking about. I have a lot of success with their seed. Here's the label right here. It's mostly blue, 85% blue. And so this has been a great grass seed to use. Again, I like their technology with this yellow jacket coating because it holds a lot of water weight and helps the seed germinate a little easier than just regular seed, I found. We're gonna do something else to also get this seed to start up a little faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and put down some product here that will help retain and keep moisture in this area and on the seed, which I have success with. So let's put some of that down right now. Okay, this is some seed starter. This was purchased from Site One, which is a lawn care contractors company provider. But you can get seed starter at Home Depot or Lowe's, or you can also use peat moss. What we're gonna do here is put this down because it helps keep the seed wet and moist. And when you're seeding, especially a bare area like this, you wanna make sure it stays moist or wet for about 10 to 14 days until it germinates. once it germinates, you can let off the water a little bit. So this product here is just going to be put down, and it's going to just help this seed retain moisture. I've used this in the past and it works really good. Again, peat moss will work also, but this is just what we call a seed starter to help hold the moisture. There's no seed in here or anything else. It's just to help keep the moisture on the seed until it germinates. Let's go ahead and spread some of this down. That seems to be about enough there. Just nicely cover this. So I currently, since it's early in the season, I don't have my sprinkler system on. So I'm just going to hand water this about 2 to 3 times a day just to keep it moist. And again, this seed starter will help keep this seed and this area moist because it's going to hold this moisture and keep it wet. It's almost like putting a damp rag over something in the kitchen and it just doesn't dry for a while. That's what this is going to do. So let's go ahead and water this in. So all we're going to do is come out for about 3 to 5 minutes. We don't want to soak this so it actually is so wet that the seed starts to run off, but we just want to keep it slightly moist throughout the day. This is kind of nice because this is on the north side of the house, so it's not going to dry out easily. But again, you don't want to drench it or let the hose run here so it just runs off and the seed goes off with it. Just slightly wet it and keep it moist for the next 10 to 14 days. So this took about a month to fill in, but you can see where we leveled the area and planted the seed. It's almost filled in completely. You can see a little bit around the edges, but in another couple of weeks it will fill in and you'll never even notice that there was a spot there or a low spot that was fixed. Looks pretty darn good. So as I mentioned before, when I have an area of the lawn that's not a big hole or it's a little dip in the lawn or just an area that needs to be filled, I like to fill it with sand because the sand is really almost like self-leveling. So let me give you an example here. It's gonna be hard to see on the camera, but right here, right along here in particular, there's a dip in the ground because that's where my mower wheel runs and it starts to wear a rut out in the lawn here. So what I like to do when I see little spots like this, let's go ahead and put this down here. I like to take just a little sand and fill in these areas here. And let the sand kind of level those out. I find that works really good and a lot easier than using dirt at this stage. I have these kind of put out all around the yard. So what I want to say is I have these dips all around the yard. What I really need to do is probably bring in a half a yard of sand and go through the entire yard and rake this stuff in. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and fill in this little area right here. So there we go. You go ahead and get this wet. It will kind of level itself just like it does at the beach. And that's a way to kind of nicely fill in low areas, ruts from your lawnmower, uneven parts in the lawn. Like I said, I think later on down the road, I'm going to bring in a truckload of sand and just dissect my entire yard and just fill in all the low spots. Get me a leveling rake and I'll level it all. But I had some extra sand and I just wanted to show you how you can use it to kind of repair something very minor in your yard. I'm John with Erbert Lawns, and thanks for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. It helps out tremendously for the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you'd like to see more lawn care content, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and have a green day.